Alright, I'm warming up my hand. Huge Movie Fanatic here, coming back with another solo review. It's not so reluctant because just like a month ago we did a whole batch of normal old-fashioned reviews, so it's not very reluctant anymore because I just had my actual reviews desire quenched about a month ago, so we're good. But as I mentioned in the previous review, I had planned to do these solo winter reviews in January, not knowing if Matt was gonna, ever reappear or not. So, then Matt contacted me, so we ended up doing normal, conventional, classic reviews. So then I figured, well, before winter's over, yes, I better just go on and do these winter reviews as I planned. So that's obviously what I'm doing. So this is the second review in my little series of solo winter themed reviews. This review is for the Liam Neeson film The Grey. Now I'm not exactly sure what year this came out, but it came out on some year. This movie came out, I can't remember what time of year or whatever, it might have been October or something like that, I don't know. But I remember, seeing like a trailer on YouTube or something like that and being intrigued because, as you know, if you've seen my The Edge review, I'm a big fan of these like nature survival in moderation. I mean, I don't need to see a new one every year or anything like that. But every now and then I like to see these big wilderness nature survival, kind of fighting the elements and trying to survive kind of movies. And I thought this was intriguing, but it's got to be a really, something really special like Texas Chainsaw 3D or something to actually get me to the theater. So I never actually went to the theater to see The Grey, but I did, upon its video Blu-ray release, I did figure, let's just do this because I was doing it more at the time. So I just blind buyed it whenever, the week it came out. And I think I've seen it I've seen it 3 times. I rewatched it within the last couple weeks. So that was the 3rd time, and I'm pretty impressed with this movie. Originally, when I was thinking about it, it was 3 stars, but having rewatched it, it's a very strong 3.5 for me, teetering on 4. This movie appears to be, and probably is shot just high definition, digital video. I don't know how to say it. Red cam maybe or whatever, but like high definition 4K, whatever. It's shot digital. I think it's safe to just say digital. Which, like I say, if you hear some of the videos we do, and eventually I want to do a video with Matt about the whole digital movie revolution and all that stuff. We've been meaning to do that ever since Huge Movie Fanatic's inception. So look out for that. Just a discussion about our feelings about it and the pluses and minuses. Personally, I've said it before that, obviously having grown up on, movies shot on film and movies being shot on film for basically 100 years, give or take, I think that movies look the best shot on film. I'm sure they'll possibly eventually arrive at something that, I don't know. I think that with all the technology, I don't think they can fake. With all the technology up their ass, I still don't think they can fake. At the end of the day, be able to fake the beauty of film. It's kind of like, I'm not a big painting fan, but if I could, make a comparison between like someone painting on a canvas versus making a painting on a computer, I'm sure people do that. But so that's a nice little comparison. But on to the review of The Grey. Now I just rewatched this within the last couple weeks, and very impressed. This is a movie that takes place in Alaska or whatever, and Liam Neeson is this guy who works for, I think, an oil company or something like that, who is just like a sharpshooter guy with a rifle, and he just sits around operations where they're doing whatever out in the wilderness in Alaska or whatever, and it just guns down wolves or whatever that happen to, charge for the people working. So he just basically gets paid to shoot and kill, animals that are a danger to the crew or whatever, of the oil company. So that's kind of what he does. And the movie starts with him just being like this and that. You don't know what's going on, and then he he's gonna almost like kill himself, you know. Oh, we go in to see, I don't know, I try not to, you know, say too much of the movie, but I want to say enough so you understand it. We see him like seeing a flashback with some woman, and it's like she's like, "Don't be afraid" or whatever. And so we get the impression that this woman. I don't think I'm going to spoil it. So, but just to make a long story short, we get the impression that this woman has left him and is no longer in his life. So he's kind of depressed at the very beginning of the movie and takes his rifle outside and he's going to shoot himself. You know, in the mouth, like up through the head and stuff. This movie, when I last watched it a couple weeks ago, several times, three for sure, but maybe 4 times, separate occasions in this movie, makes me weep. Like, you know, I'm not hardcore bawling, but, and the first time is what I'm getting at right now, is he's got the rifle, you know, in his mouth, and he's like, ready to go. And this is already after we've seen him shoot a wolf, and then like just while this is actually maybe the first time I got a little teary, and he goes over to the wolf and he's like, the thing's going just laying there and it's basically dying obviously, and he'll hold it, and I don't know if he says anything, but we see its last breath, and that kind of got to me. But I think the part that really got to me again was he's just about to shoot himself, and from the distance, I think we show it like this is nighttime, and I think there's a dark shot of the mountains or whatever, and it's like, oh, you know, and it's like, not to say that a wolf was watching him and that he's going no or anything like that, but just the coincidence of that happening at that moment, because that cry, for whatever reason, stops him from pulling the trigger, right, literally seconds within seconds of him going to do it. And that part just, I think that also kind of jerks the tears for me, just because of my particular mentality and personality and what I've experienced in my life, and just my ties to and my admiration of just nature in general. But that was great. And so then he gets, God, I'm trying not to, you know, describe a play-by-play of the movie, but he gets on I'm going to tell you the good parts, you know, which is going to take forever, but then you get on the plane, and I really like the way, I don't know what else the director has done, but I really like the way this movie was made. It was made with a very subtle know-how, and you know, it wasn't like Michael Bay or something just stupid. It was like the filmmaker had a subtle, like a nice little subtle touch, which I responded to and appreciated. Like the plane crash, I'll just briefly say the plane crash was handled really well, and I'm just trying to not go on too long, but at the end of the day, you know, the plane crashes, and another part that really gets me, where I actually weep, that was handled really well, is right after the plane crash, after he comes to and he goes into the plane, and there's this guy who's just bleeding profusely, just bleeding, and Liam Neeson kind of takes charge of the situation, because he's the #1 billed star in the movie, so that only makes sense. He can't be the guy behind some Joe Schmo going, oh, what's going on? He's got to be the, you know, whatever, he's got to take charge. But this is a scene that also got me kind of weeping, where the guy's like, Liam Neeson is like, you're gonna die, or something like that, and the guy's like, the guy who's bleeding's like, first of all, the way this was written right here was perfect, and the execution was perfect, because if someone told me this is my exact same reaction, anyone's reaction would be what the guy's was, which was, wait, you know, just like, it was just very realistic to me. And that scene where where Liam Neeson kind of does to this guy what he did to the wolf at the beginning of the movie, where he's just like trying to comfort him, and it's just, you know, I'm going to try not to cry right now, but he asks the guy, he was really good at doing it in the movie, he asks the guy, what makes you happy, or what fond memories or something, and he's like, someone you love, or let them take you there, to death or whatever. And just the way that scene, and I'm going to stop talking about it before I start weeping now, but the way that scene was handled was done absolutely fantastically, and it almost makes me want to go 4 stars just for, I think I'll just give the movie 4 stars for for being an overall strong movie. But those moments are very powerful in the movie. you know, for me, I don't see a lot of movies, but the ones that I do, it's like very seldom this kind of stuff I see, and it's just very powerful. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do a scene like that, and the particular way that it was handled in this movie, the numerous scenes like that, I just really respond to. So then that guy dies, and the guy's like, people are like, did that guy just die? I gotta really cut this shorter, but to make a long story short, the Grey is really a well done movie, and pretty great, and the scenery or whatever, which I hope some of it is real. I think some of it probably is. But before I end, the last bit that I really love might be my favorite, probably my favorite part in the movie, because I was really impressed when the movie did this, because so many movies just feel like they have to, like the editors feel like they have to just, you know, they can't stand a shot for more than 10 seconds, and you have to be continuously cutting and cutting. And probably my favorite scene of the whole movie is towards the end, when there's 3 of them left and this one guy who broke his leg. They got to a point, and I just think it was just so amazing in this, you know, in the movie. He got to a point where he's walking, and he just stops, and he's like, he tells the other 2 guys, like Liam Neeson and the other guy, I'm done, or whatever. I'm done. You know, and I thought this part probably makes me, well, it makes me weep as well. I was going to say makes me weep the most, but I don't know, that some of the other stuff is pretty, like when the other guy's dying at the beginning, bleeding out, is pretty bad, it's pretty weepy too. So, but this scene is probably my favorite part of the movie, where the guy's just like, he happens to stop on this stream, and where there's big vistas in the background, and the guy points out, look at that, and I feel like that's there for me. I feel like, well, how's it ever going to get any better than this? Look at that. And the guy just decides to give up. And I think this movie is a strangely, I don't think it was meant to be this way, but it's ironic, because it's a strangely I don't know if I should even say it. I mean, I would almost say it's slightly, in a weird way, it's like a pro-suicide movie, because if Liam Neeson had actually killed himself, he would have saved himself a lot of fucking bullshit that he ends up going through in the movie, basically. And I'm gonna big spoiler here. If you don't want to be spoiled by the Grey, turn it off. 5, 4, 2, 1. Here it goes. Everyone fucking dies. Liam Neeson presumably dies. And that's one thing that I like versus Liam Neeson making it back. That's one of the, this is 4 stars. We'll just give it 4 stars. Because that is one of the many things that I love about this movie, is that, and the way it's built up, you know, with his dad's poem, and, you know, live and die on this day, and he gets all these, you know, broken bottle and this thing, he tapes it to these wolves. He actually ends up in the wolves' den at the very end just by accident, and he tapes all this stuff to his hands, tapes a knife into his hand, and he's just gonna fucking, he's just gonna go as long as he possibly can, and the very movie ends with him just like, just starts to jump, you know, like lunge, and then it's like black, and it's just, oh man. So 4 stars for the Grey. I think that it's absolutely fantastic. But before I end, what I was getting at with that one shot of that scene of that guy just deciding to quit and being a pro-suicide movie, which, you know, one thing that I really respect, and I think that people need to respect when people, you know, are down and possibly thinking, not to say that they should give a person a gun, but I'm not too sure. I think that all these people who don't really know how someone's life is have any right, because obviously everyone's like, don't do it, and it's just like, you know, for people to say that to someone, especially when they have no idea what that person has gone through or is going through, I think it's kind of shitty, because it's like, why? Who are you to say don't do it? Is it your life I'm thinking of ending? It has nothing to do. So that scene when that guy just stopped walking and he's like, I'm done, that just said a lot to me, because it was just like, it's everyone's choice at any given point in their life. If they're, you know, people only have so much steam, and there was something so poignant about that guy just stopping dead in his tracks, and just, you know, I know it's just a fake movie, but when I look into that, I'm like, what, you know, assuming that character was real or whatever, what's going on in his head What were the thoughts that led up to those very last moments, right before he stopped and said, "I'm done"? And his determination to not, people, of course, the two, Liam Neeson and the other guy, I think it was pretty much the other guy who was the one who said, are you serious? All we've survived and you're just going to stop? And this guy lists off the stuff, what I got to go back to, screwing whores, drinking myself to sleep, so in a weird way, it can be viewed as a pro-suicide movie. And I think suicide in a lot of ways, not to get too morbid, but I don't know if I can really say it without making people out there just really weirded out, but suicide is kind of like a bad reputation when I think that it's, and people say that it's selfish and all this bullshit. Selfish are all the people that you leave behind, and it's like, don't they realize that that's selfish on their part to want someone to suffer, in their life so they're not lonely, or so that person can, provide entertainment for them? I think that's more selfish than, no one owes anyone anything in the sense of just like living for you. So the whole notion of suicide being selfish, I think, is a bunch of bullshit. I think the people that say that are the selfish people who would ask people, don't do this to me. It's like, my existence, no one owes anyone anything, like to live just for the sake of you, to see you, every now and then, or Christmas or something. So gosh, this has really went on a long time, but basically this movie kind of brings up in me all these kind of feelings and all this kinds of this and that, which really means something to me. So maybe I just put my own life experiences or my own personal views over it, but if I did, the movie had laid the groundwork for all this stuff to be layered on top of. So The Grey, I'm just going to go for it and give it 4 stars. I think I pretty much covered. I wanted to cover those really strong points. Before I end, I was talking about No Cuts, that scene where the guy's giving up. There's this really great shot where that big, beautiful vista's in the background. It lasts, by today's standards, a long time, like the shot, and that's a big plus for that movie, or for this movie, and that kind of stuff I really appreciate as a moviegoer, as a huge movie fanatic, to see. I didn't time it out or anything, but it's got to be at least maybe 2 minutes long or more on that one shot, and that was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Fantastic movie. If you have a chance to see it, see The Grey. Oh.